Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Dutch and today we'll be looking at a custom mechanical keyboard build for less than $100. So this build could be interesting if you want to go mechanical from your standard keyboard, but even when you're looking at something like a Document 1-2 Mini or what have you, because this will give you that sweet custom keyboard experience for about the same price as these boards. So in this video we'll be looking at all the parts needed to build this keyboard for about $100, some mods you can do to improve the typing experience and the acoustic performance of the board, and then I will be looking at how you can further upgrade your keyboard if you so wish. And then you go from something that looks and sounds like this to this. That's a lot to get through, so let's dive into the video right after this. So this keyboard is aimed at beginners in the world of custom mechanical keyboards and is very easy to build, and for a mechanical keyboard very cheap. On top of that, there's no soldering involved, so no advanced skills required here. I put this keyboard together to help people that are on the fence of jumping into the customer mechanical scene or just on a tight budget and want the most bang for their buck. Key piece of this build is the barebone we'll be using. This will hold the case, the PCB and the plate. We will be using the GK61 and you can buy this kit without switches and keycaps, although I've seen it as a complete keyboard as well. For this video I've made a separate kit with all you need and even the upgrades and other items I mentioned in this video, which is linked down in the description below. So the barebone we'll be using is the GK61. This is a 60% board, which means it's nice and compact on your desk. When I bought it I paid about $45 for my kit, but prices do go up and down. I've also linked the GK64 and GK68. Which offer a few more keys, most notably arrow keys, but keep in mind that it's harder to find the right keycaps for those keyboards. So I've gone with the GK61 here. And if you think you will miss arrow keys on the GK61, there's a very neat function on the board. If you press the function key and W, you'll basically get dedicated arrow keys as suggested by the RGB lighting the GK61 offers. With the GK61 there are stabilizers included, which are there to help the larger keys, like the spacebar, to function properly. Now these are not the best stabilizers, and later in the video I'll be showing you how to improve the sound of them with some simple mods. As I said earlier, there's no soldering required, and that's due to the fact that the GK61 is hot swap. This means that the PCB has sockets added to them, which allow you to change switches without soldering. So that is ideal for beginners that might want to upgrade their keyboard later or just are interested in trying different switches. A full review of the GK61 will be coming to my channel shortly. So consider subscribing if you're interested. Now for the switches, I've chosen to go with the Gateron Yellows. For $20, these switches are incredibly smooth and sound great. Just great value overall. These are mechanical switches, but if you are interested in optical Gateron Yellows for that fast gaming experience, I've also linked them in the kit in the description down below. The last part we need are keycaps. The one shown here are shine through, so that's nice for the RGB, and they come in many different colors depending on your taste. Now I found these keycaps for about $20 on Amazon, but they are unbranded and might not be available in your region, so I suggest looking for alternatives if you can't find them through my link. But I've also included a set from a big brand, in this case the HyperX punning keycaps, which retail for about $25 in the US. These are very gamery in looks, so they might or might not work for you depending on what you like, but they do offer you the possibility to benefit from that sweet RGB lighting. In total the parts of this keyboard should cost you about $50 for the kit, $20 for the switches and $20 to $25 for the keycaps, so that brings the total just below $100. There are a few mods that can make this build even better, but do these at your own risk as you might damage the keyboard or void the warranty. The first mod is adding some foam into the case. This is a $0 mod as I use cheap packaging foam to fill up the empty space in the case. There are definitely better foam solutions out there, but that's outside our budget. And the mod I show here will help you to get rid of any hollow sound from the case when typing. Just cut the foam into the case and make some holes for the standoffs which support the PCB. The next mod I did was lubing the stabilizer. Out of the box they are very rattly indeed. The steps are plate mounted, so you can remove them without opening the keyboard, just using a pair of tweezers. First I clip the small legs that stick out to avoid unnecessary sound when bottoming out the steps. Next, I have looped the inside of the steps, where the two plastic bits move as well as the stem. This will help remove scratchiness from the steps. I did this with Krytox 205 Grade 0, which is expensive, so an alternative is G-Loop from Glorious, which gets good reviews. Both are linked down below. Then I dip the end of the metal part into dielectric grease, which is a thick silicone-based grease. Make sure you lube just around the corner of the wire. Then put the plastic parts back together and snap in the wire. I've also taken small pieces of Band-Aid and put them below where the stabs hit the PCB. And put a small amount of dielectric grease on the Band-Aid. This will further help to dampen the sound of the stabs. Next, mount the stabilizers back onto the plate and use keys to test if they function properly and if they are without rattle. On my keyboard I had some rattle left, so I then lifted the stabs and inserted some dielectric grease in the back hole. Yes, I know, that sounds weird, but it helps. The last mod, which is entirely optional, is to lube the switches. Now this requires a lot of work and some tools, and there are a ton of tutorials on YouTube, so I won't go over this process in length. Here's what I did. I've opened each individual switch, and then I lubed the sliding rails of the bottom housing, as well as the bottom floor and stem. Then I looped the switch springs, and lastly I looped the stem, which is the main moving part of the switch, so I gave it an all-round loop. Then I put the switches back together. Now understand this is a more advanced mod and the Gateron Yellows are fine without it, but lubing them makes the switches super smooth and sound a lot better. Now that we have all the parts ready, let's put them all together and finalize the build. Now here's the final result, and I'm really happy how this one came together. The keycaps have similar color to my channel, and overall it feels like a nice keyboard. So let's connect to my PC and see how it sounds. Please like the video. Now there are a few upgrades I can recommend once you feel like you need to take the next step. The first part I would upgrade are the keycaps. While the cheap keycaps are fine, there are some very nice options out there. So for the keycaps I can recommend some sets for around $50 that will make the build more premium. First is HG Gaming PBT keycaps. These are readily available from Amazon and you can get them in different classy colors. These are a great option if you're looking for a more professional look. I will be bringing a full review of this set on my channel shortly, so consider subscribing for that content. Another more controversial option is getting knockoffs of some very expensive keycaps. Now I understand that some of you think it's not the right thing to do, but since I know many people enjoy these sets, I wanted to include them here. As an example, I got this Panda PBT keycap set from AliExpress. I really like the way these look as they bring some color to the table, but they're not so much in your face as on the original build. For the switches, there are a lot of options out there. Linear or tactile or even clicky. With high pitch or lower pitch sound profiles and light and heavy springs. There's a switch for everybody. Here, if you like linears, I would suggest you try out the Gateron Black Inks, which are a very talky, heavy switch which feels and sounds great. If you like a bit more feedback, similar to MX Brown's but more refined, I can recommend the tactile glorious Panda switches. Both switches do require some work in terms of lubing and such to get the most out of them, but they're great options. Now let's listen and look how these upgrades turn out. So overall, for a keyboard you can build for about $100, it offers fantastic value. It feels and types really well and the sound profile is very nice, especially if you take the time to make some of the modifications. It will also give you a segue into the hobby and some nice options to upgrade along the line. All things considering, I'm very happy how this came together. So hopefully you all enjoyed this video. Hit me up in the comments if you have any questions. Don't forget to like the video if you got any value out of it. Subscribe for more and I'll see you all in the next one.